Summer Blooms, a flower farm in South Central Iowa. Today I'm out here in the potting shed. It's the middle of March and I have a whole list of seeds I'm going to start today. Mid-March is probably the busiest time for seed starting here at the flower farm, as our last spring frost is usually the beginning of May. And so a lot of seeds that have instructions to start 6 to 8 weeks before your last frost date fall right here in the middle of March. So I have a long list of things I'm going to start today. Some are for the flower farm, some are for my personal vegetable garden, and some are for my personal landscaping. And it is a beautiful sunshiny day. It's supposed to be potentially 80 degrees here today, middle of March, which is always a huge treat. We're also maybe going to get a big windstorm later, wind gusts between 50 and 70 miles per hour, straight line winds is what they're saying. So it could be an exciting afternoon. I'm starting several flower varieties today, including ageratum. I'm not actually sure if that's how you say that, but we're going to go with that. Celosia, one of my favorites for the flower farm in the summer. Cosmos. The Cosmos is for some cutting garden kits that I had for sale this year for my customers, so that they can grow their own cutting garden at home. I love Cosmos, but I don't grow it in the flower farm anymore. The reason for that is so we are in the middle of Iowa farm country. So we are surrounded by soybean and corn fields, and every year in late July, the corn rootworm beetle comes out of the cornfield and wreaks havoc on several varieties of flowers for about 4 to 6 weeks. Cosmos being one of them. They love the Cosmos. And I just found it too difficult to try to keep the Cosmos picked before they got to it. And once the Cosmos opens, the blooms just get decimated. However, not everyone is going to have that problem. So it is in our cutting garden kits. It's just not something I grow in the flower farm anymore. And I hate that because I really love how airy and such it adds that kind of airy feel to bouquets, but it's just something I decided to cut from the lineup. Bronze fennel is something that I grew last year for the first time. It's great for pollinators. I believe it attracts the swallowtail butterfly. It has a beautiful purple color to it. I don't grow a bed of it in the flower field, but I do sprinkle it into my various gardens and I cut from it and add to some bouquets. Gomphrena, one of my favorites. Mountain mint, that's a new one for me this year. Status, again going in the cut flower garden kits. And straw flower. All the straw flower I'm planting this year is from saved seed. I have found that straw flower does better with fresh seed. Last year, I had some saved seed and some seeds I purchased, and the saved seed did so much better as far as germination and also just the health of the plants. So I saved some of my favorite colors from the field last year. I saved some peach, some buttercream, and then also just a mix of colors. But I'm going to be using only saved seed this year for straw flower, so I'm excited to see how that goes. I also hope that I get some that come back in the peach and buttercream color because they were really beautiful. I have a day off today to start seeds. I'm very excited about that. I have a brand new mug that a good friend of mine gave me. Delicious coffee with some oat milk. And I am just very excited to have extended time in the potting shed today. I'm starting 2 trays of ageratum today, and what I have is just called the Timeless Mix. I've never started this before, so let's see. So 6 to 8 weeks before last frost. Do not cover seed as light aids germination, bottom water, or mist to avoid covering seed. So let's see what these seeds look like. Oh my goodness. Those are tiny. There's 250 seeds in here. And the seeds are just like at the bottom right here. So, okay. Oh, I guess it's also called floss flower. Okay. I'm going to mist this top just a little bit before I even put it down. Normally, I pre-moisten my potting soil or seed starting mix before I add it to my tray. I did not do that this time for a variety of boring reasons. I'm going to bottom water after I get everything sowed. Okay, let's see. Let's put a few seeds per cell. Thin out later if I need to. It was 64 out here in the potting shed when I came out, I don't know, maybe 45 minutes ago, which I thought maybe it could be a teensy bit warmer. I just wanted to be hot out here. I wanted it to be like summer in here. So I turned on the electric fireplace for maybe 15 or 20 minutes, and it wasn't long, and it was 70 degrees out here. It's going to be a warm day today. So, and I'm still just figuring out what the sun does to this space as far as the heat. So far, it heats it up really nice during the day. I haven't even been running the heater at all out here overnight. It gets down to maybe like 56 or 58 degrees. But like today, with very little heat intervention, it is now 73 degrees out here, and I might need to pop a window open here pretty soon. Okay, now what I'm going to do is grab a bottom tray. I have some water out here. And this is just not normally what I do, but I'm going to fill this bottom tray with a little bit of water. Ooh. And just let it soak up from the bottom to get that soil really, really nice and moist. I'm going to just set this on the floor over here for now. And now we're going to go for the second tray. I got my 2 trays of ageratum started. If I'm saying that wrong, I just keep saying it wrong. It's fine. And now I'm going to start a couple trays of celosia. So I am starting celosia flamingo purple, celosia Selway white, and then these are saved seeds from varieties that I got from Florette Flower last year. So spun sugar was a beautiful pink color, and then rose gold. Rose gold was just stunning. That was my favorite celosia of all last year. It had like burgundy stems, and then yeah, if you think of like rose gold jewelry, that's how the blooms looked. So I am going to put 2 kinds in each tray. So I need to find my Sharpie. So this tray will be celosia flamingo purple and celosia Selway white. Celosia is a winner in our flower farm. The corn rootworm beetles that I mentioned earlier don't bother it. They crawl all over it, but they don't destroy it. It just keeps on kicking all summer. It just keeps pumping out the blooms. So I'm going to start with the flamingo purple, and celosia seeds are about like poppy seeds. Let's see, what does it say? 6 to 8 weeks before last frost. Light is required for germination. Cover very lightly to hold seeds in place. So these seeds are easy to sow because of their size. They are not super duper tiny. So I'm going to just put a couple seeds per cell. Flamingo purple and Selway white have a little bit of a different form. So flamingo purple, so a lot of the varieties like the spun sugar and the rose gold are a plume variety. So their blooms look like a lovely plume. Selway white has well, I think any of the Selway series, don't quote me on that. Selway white has a little more of like a cluster of spiky blooms. And flamingo purple, I have not grown before, but I don't have a picture of it right here, but I think it is kind of the same. It has kind of smaller, spikier blooms. I don't know that it is in like a cluster, sort of like the Selway series, but it does have smaller, spikier blooms. Okay, that is flamingo purple, and there are tons of seeds left down in there. Okay, that is, oh, I used them all up. That is Selway white. Next is celosia, spun sugar, and rose gold. What I did with the rose gold, because I was just absolutely nuts for them, I saved some seed earlier in the year, and then I saved some later in the season. And because of cross pollination, I wasn't sure if they would come, how that would affect them, I guess. And the spun sugar is just one color of pink, but the rose gold had some variations in color. So this is celosia rose gold late, and this is what I saved earlier in the year. I think I'm going to use what I saved earlier in the year in this tray. It'd kind of be fun to do an experiment and see them side by side. Ooh, maybe I'll do that. Maybe I'll plant some in a landscaping bed behind my house, and I'll start some early and some late and plant them together and mark them and see how they turn out. That's what I might do. Okay, but first I am going to start the spun sugar. I just sprinkle a few seeds in each cell. I don't worry about just getting one or two. And if everything germinates and there's 4 seeds in a cell, then I'll just pluck a couple out, or I'll just maybe transplant some of the spares into another tray. Okay, that is the spun sugar. And then we're going to go with the rose gold. Two trays of celosia. Check. Okay, so I sowed this tray of gomphrena. Over here we have rose, and then over here we have a color called carmine, which is also kind of a magenta-y pink color. And I wanted you to see the difference between purchase seed and save seed. So when you save seed, it comes off the plant in these little papery thin little things. And the seeds are inside of this white end. But I never worry about going through and removing the papery skins from the seeds, because I have found if you keep this damp enough, the seeds do eventually break through their little skin and they germinate just fine. So it doesn't feel like it's worth the extra work. So that is why this tray looks so different. So now I'm just going to take a moment and just kind of press these seeds into the soil like that. And this tray will be ready to go. Last up on things going in the flower field that I'm starting today is straw flower. And you heard me talk about earlier that all of my straw flower is saved seed this year. And so what I'm going to do is just sprinkle the seed in these smaller trays. Together they make the size of a bigger tray. I'm going to sprinkle my seed in these trays and then wait for them to germinate. And once they do, then I'm going to transfer them to a normal cell tray like this, because I just want to see how they germinate. So in one of these, I am going to put my, I have peach and buttercream seeds. Also, straw flower seeds aren't the easiest to save. I did use an old colander this year to kind of separate some of the chaff from the seed, but you do get a lot of fluff, kind of like a dandelion. You do get a lot of fluff with them. So again, it'll just work really good just to sprinkle the fluff and the seed and everything over the top. So this is going to be my straw flower. In this tray, we're going to do straw flower buttercream and straw flower, it says here peach and pink, so I saved a few of each. So peach and pink. So I'm just going to kind of divide up the tray in half here and sprinkle some there and sprinkle some here. And then I also have just a mix. And last year in the field, I had some kind of burgundy and white and yellow besides the other colors. So I'm just gonna do this full tray as a mix, and we will see what we get. It'll be a fun little surprise. So first off, the buttercream. And I'm not 100% certain like what is seed and what is not seed in here. So I'm really gonna just kind of sprinkle it heavy because I think some of this is chaff, not all of it is seed. So I'm gonna, just right, buttercream. Okay, yep. So I'm gonna sprinkle it pretty heavy because some of this is not seed. Okay, that's the buttercream. And now we're gonna do the peach pink mix. And I honestly might just use this whole thing. Who knows, I might end up with 200 straw flower plants out of this little sprinkle. But I'd rather have more than I need and just pluck out what I don't need than not enough. I have a feeling I'm going to end up with just an overabundance, but that is just fine. Okay, so I'm going to shake this a little bit to get some of the seed to the top and not the fluff. And this is just the mix. And we'll just give this a good sprinkle. I really, really loved the buttercream and peach colors of straw flower last year. And I've seen a mix that you can buy that kind of has some of those colors in it. But I figured I might as well just use my own saved seed. It'll just be like a tray of solid green here in a couple of weeks, hopefully. Okay. Again, easiest trays ever to sow. I don't really know if straw flower is supposed to be covered because I don't have any seed packets telling me what they like. So I'm going to just mist the top here so that everything has a good drink. And then I think I will just cover it just with vermiculite, just to help maintain the moisture. And that's kind of like a good compromise between does it need to be covered and does it not. If it's covered with vermiculite, it's kind of just a blend of the two. Okay. Where's my little covers? Here's my little covers. Oh, I have one too many. And these are ready to go on the rack. That is all of the items I needed to start for the flower farm today. The ageratum, the celosia, the gomphrena, the mountain mint, and the straw flower. Next, I need to start the items for the cut flower garden kit that I had available for pre-ordering this year, and then a few things that I need to start just for my own personal use. So I'm going to spend the rest of my time here getting those kits started. Everything out here needs a really good drink, so I need to go through and water everything and just enjoy the heat of this day. It is such a beautiful day. 1 week ago, we were in the middle of a blizzard. So the weather has had some wild swings here. So thanks for watching. Thanks for following along. We'll see you the next time.